3 points.
He's working out.
Just be one, let's take 50 pounds.
Somebody help.
Look at that. All right. I have actually done that, something like that before, for real. When I started working out years ago, I saw somebody went into a gym, and I thought I was going to be enthusiastic. It didn't look easy, but I figured I could just do it. I worked out to the point of injury. Think about it. I went into the gym to get in better shape, and as a result, I went back. Why? Because I injured myself, and I couldn't work out for months at a time, and went backwards in my fitness level. I'm here to say that that can happen here as well. Because in a way, this is like a fitness gym for our emotions and our mind. And sometimes, if we take on too much, more weight, more mental and emotional weight, we will leave. There are some people, and I know this from talking to people, who will come to a Toastmasters club and nobody knows why they left. They're overloaded. Let's share a few stories about what we can maybe potentially do about this through the experience of others. Some of you were at university on the weekend for our first Speechcraft Day. There was a lady there by the name of Amanda Parrott. Some of you saw her speak. A tall, pale-skinned woman who went on the stage and became a paler-skinned woman. She began to talk, and she was telling us a story about how when she got into Toastmasters, she was invited to do a speech in Ituna, Saskatchewan. She did okay. So now she was pumped up. She was ready to go to do another speech in front of a large crowd at Melfort, Saskatchewan. And she said she bombed. She freaked out. She wasn't prepared. While she was telling this story, she was, by the way, dressed in a V-neck shirt with short sleeves. And those of you who were there and you were watching her, you would notice that she looked like a thermometer. Up on her chest was a red line that was growing. And it was redder than this. It was quite a bit redder than that. Came up to her chin. It started going up the side of her head. It started coming down her arms. All of a sudden she said, "I'm getting red, aren't I?" Does anybody remember that? Did you see that? Wasn't that amazing? This is the power of what the mind and the emotional part of the mind can actually do to the body. It can begin to shut down vital parts of our body. And it can be overwhelming for people in the way a weight can be overwhelming. And it can cause people to vamoose, like they say in Spanish, right? In English then. To leave. Anyway. The thing is, though, she got back up on the horse, if you will, with the encouragement and the help of her sister, who also spoke that day ahead of her, who is a more confident speaker. She was encouraged to get back up, and she was able to do it. But she walked very, very close to her threshold that day. I could see it, and we could see it who were there. The second story is about a man. He's a doctor, a physician in Vancouver. His name is Dr. Gabor Mate. And for years he worked as a trauma specialist, especially for children. But then he began to work with the drug addicts in the downtown east side, which is the largest concentration of drug addicts in all of North America. And what he found was that there are a lot of demons within people almost that hold them back from what they want to do. And he had this one story of a client of his who needed to go in an elevator to get to his job, but he couldn't go to the elevator because he had a phobia of the elevator. He could literally collapse even in the elevator. It would be overwhelming. So what he did is he said, "Okay, do you think if you and I go to the elevator and stand on the other side of the hall and just watch the elevator for a while. You see people coming and going. You know rationally that they're not dying. Do you think you can do that? The man said yes. They went, and for a few days they stood and they watched. The man was a bit nervous. And when he realized that he could go farther, he asked him, okay, how about we go and stand beside the door of the elevator, and in time you can push the button but not get in. Just watch it. He was okay with that. Then in time, is it okay if we go and stand beside it? I'll hold the door, you walk in and then walk out, then we'll go home. In time, he was able to bridge that gap and make going into the elevator work. The third story I'm going to share first by video here. Get this to work. If I get the lights off, please. I'm just going to play a few seconds of this and see. Where's that? Okay. Can everybody see that?
In this grave, power, perhaps the most faithful.
Forgot one thing. This is King George. He was the king of the British Empire during the Second World War. He inadvertently became king because his father died. Hereditary, he was supposed to go to the oldest son, but his oldest son married a divorcee, which was illegal at the time, so he couldn't be king. So this man had to be king, but he couldn't speak in public. And he had to give a speech to the entire empire, but he couldn't. So he got help. And there's a couple of things I want to talk about after this. Just watch this. That's his wife. Look at how she's reacting.
I send to every household of my peoples, both at home.
Watch how attentive everybody is.
And overseas.
Probably enough. We turn the light back on. The point of that was twofold. One, he couldn't do it. He couldn't speak. You see the way he would shut down? His speech would shut down periodically. So they found a speech coach for him who was able to help him, and the speech coach was there with him. So when he'd jam up, he'd help him to keep going again. The other thing that was happening was everybody close to him was there with him. There's a unity power. Don't ask me how it works, but if you're in a room and everybody's on your team who's rooting for you, success somehow imbibes the person. It's a really strange situation. And that's what we saw there. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this because all of us can have inhibitions. All of us, like Amanda Parrott, we can have inhibitions. Like the man with the elevator, we can have inhibitions. And like the king of the British Empire, who could not speak in front of a crowd, we also have our versions, or we can have our versions of inhibitions in our lives. And here is an opportunity for us to strengthen ourselves. Strengthen ourselves. Now, for each of us who've been here for a while, it's probably fine. But those who walk into the room who are new, sometimes they turn around and we never see them again. And it's possible that they went over, or they cannot see beyond. They cannot see to where we are. So, if we ever find ourselves in situations where we want to go to a greater degree of conversation up here, and we see somebody in the group who is where we want to go or could help us, we can reach out. We can also reach out to those who are coming in. Because surely, in this room, we or other people can injure ourselves mentally and emotionally. But we don't have to. We don't have to, because we can customize what we're doing, or we can have it customized for us. Just like the king, he had his activities customized for him so that he could reach his expectations. So did the man with the elevator. He had somebody to help him to customize his activity rather than just walking into it so that he could reach his expectation of getting there. Same with Amanda, who could not get on the stage without the help of her sister, who helped her customize what she was going to do, and she could meet her expectations. We don't have to injure ourselves if we know where our limit is and we customize step by step so that we meet our expectations. Madam Toastmaster.